Hondi around the corner.
Yeah. Hey, can I have a hand, buddy? Yeah. What's up, old fashioned?
On the offhand, we get this wrong idea.
Yeah, I really got to hand it to you. Oh man.
But Hondi, you can make that ice cream instead of Haagen-Dazs. Hondi-Dazs.
Actually, one of my favorite teachers. He actually kind of changed my way of like learning. He was my science teacher at Chula High. His name was Mr. Nuts. And
I had the same science teacher.
NUTZ, and he was always like, "Yeah, isn't it pronounced Nuts?" He's like, "No, it's Nuts." But the funny part was his dad's name was Speedy.
Oh no.
Jesus.
And he was like, and it's crazy because Mr. Nuts, his name was James P. Nuts. His name was James P. Nuts.
That's wild.
He was like, I want to tell you about my brother Harry.
Who breathed on that mic hella close?
That's DJ.
Who got that Biggie Smalls accent going?
Hard.
Sorry. I'm bad. My bad.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. That's what who let Biggie rap with his? Oh man, he literally plugged up his nose. Somebody get my somebody. Somebody go get my flow days. Biggie would have not lived through Corona. I'm gonna just keep it 100.
Oh my god.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this show on the road then. What's going on, Piglets? It's your boy Taylor B, and I'm joined by my ingenious co-hosts, Daniel, DJ, and Joey. Welcome to another installment of Culture by the Uncultured. And before we go any further, be sure to click that follow, subscribe button. And remember, Culture by the Uncultured is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Culture by the Uncultured. All right, guys, another week. Wow, it's actually not that hard to spell, but anyway, it's another week. You know, we've kind of been. I don't know what we're in right now. Are we locked down? Are we not locked down? All I know is that COVID is still a very real quote unquote threat, and we're supposed to be living a certain type of way, I suppose. But how's everybody out there? How are you guys doing?
Don't everybody jump at once, but
Real though.
We normally all talk over each other. Now we're giving opportunities and nobody's taking it. So,
DJ, go.
All right. So I get to move in like less than a month. So I'm moving to Connecticut myself. I have off for the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to be sitting around playing a lot of video games, not really doing
okay. He's off for 2 weeks. That's right. Maybe you guys will start playing the damn video game you made me download and then ditch me on.
What are you talking about? I'm not the one. I'm not the one that's holding everyone back.
You mean tell me we could have just done this tomorrow instead of today?
100%.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
I told you I was off for 2 weeks.
I didn't get that message. Who got that message?
If it's
it didn't register. It didn't register though. It didn't register.
If it's an inconvenience, we can wrap it up right now. Or we can keep going.
That's fine. We can keep going.
I mean, you ain't inconveniencing me. I'm good.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying for Daniel and Brandon had like a short time. Oh, okay, all right.
It's
Pushing it.
Yeah. No, I cut something short to be here, so I'm not going back.
He was cutting her short, you know. Hey,
whoa.
She touched your butt yet?
Whoa.
She touched your butt?
Don't talk about her like that. She's a nice lady.
Wait. Okay, real talk. You ever let a girl rub your butt?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Rub your butt?
Yeah, I'm not talking about penetration, not sticking nothing in. Just rub your butt.
Yeah.
Where's this podcast going?
What happened before that option came up is what I need to know.
Maybe you're just chilling. You're just chilling. No. She decides.
No. The only way she can rub my butt is if I scratch it, if I fall off of something and need some aloe vera put on. It's the only way.
The only time my booty.
So aloe vera.
Are we talking? Are we talking about men getting their butt rubbed?
Yes.
What have we become?
Hey,
King.
you never had,
The only time a girl's had her hands on my cheeks is when she was on her knees right in front of me. I'm gonna just keep it 100.
Wow.
Get your hands off my cheeks, bro.
you
Wait.
girl slap your ass?
She had to touch your butt to tie your shoes? I don't understand.
I got this weird little. I got this. This podcast has taken a turn for the worst, and I don't think any of us care, bro.
He says she had to tie your shoes to touch your butt. Oh my god.
That's impressive.
Rusty trombone, huh?
Oh my god.
Yeah. Google that one. Rusty trombone.
Oh man.
I had to pull up from half court one time.
I really started
Oh,
crying.
my God.
I really started crying. Damn, that's crazy.
This is horrible. This is absolutely.
We haven't even got to the point of our podcast yet.
I know, right? I was mainly just curious because I'm kind of more active on Twitter, and you see a lot of stuff that makes you kind of think or whatever. And I just really thought, like, in my experience and in my lifetime, I've always been like the super like jittery, like don't touch my butt, like what are you doing? Stop, like a girl caress me or slaps me or something, like yo, chill out. But then somebody recently brought up that it's okay to get your butt rubbed, and they brought like toxic masculinity and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, that shit felt good as fuck," or whatever. And he was like, "I'm not talking about her sticking nothing in me or doing nothing crazy, like slapping my shit all crazy or whatever." He's just like, "Let a girl rub your butt. See how you might like it." I haven't done it yet, keep in mind, but I am sort of curious. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, let me be transparent. Okay, one time I was playing basketball and I got a cramp in like one of my thighs, my upper thighs, and my girlfriend at the time, I told her, she was like, "Lee, trying to get something?" I was like, "Honestly, I can't move. I got this cramp, and I feel like if I move," she was like, "Let me massage it." So I'm like, "All right, bet, So go ahead. As soon as it felt better, then she started creeping up to the cheek, and I had like this natural like donkey reaction where I had this backwards kick. And damn near took her jaw off, okay? So, like, don't touch my butt.
And then right after that, she was like, "Joey, I love you." You got next? You got next?
Oh man. We can't. Oh man, transparency. We were at the beach playing basketball, and this girl that I had been talking to for maybe 2 months. I was talking to her, maybe romantically for like a week or so. We go to the beach. We're about to run threes. She's there with her friend, and as soon as I lace up my sneakers and I'm out there taking pregame jump shots, she's like, "Joey, I love you," and I don't know what to say. So I look at the guys and I'm like, "Who got next?" Who got next? And now, okay, transparency. That's my new thing. Transparency.
Hell yeah, I feel it. All right. I mean, I kind of like we kind of cut off with that as far as everybody else how y'all doing, but I'm assuming you guys are doing okay. You made it through the week. You're alive. I'm sure that you feel somewhat blessed.
I heard news about that second stimulus check.
Word.
That got my eyebrow raised.
I heard
news about that first one.
I also heard. What else I heard this week? That Joe Jurgensen, that woman, she's like libertarian, trying to run for president, making a push.
Yep.
We can get it. That's deep though. We had a good week. What's on tab for today?
Well, I guess we can start out with sports because we kind of just been kind of ignoring it to a degree. I know this is a little bit of old news, and some of it might be new. You guys might have heard some other stuff that I haven't heard of yet. But I heard recently that like about 16 NBA players out of like all like the total players, what is there, like 300 something like that? And all the players were tested positive for COVID-19 recently. And some people have opted out, I guess, to play like the little short season they're going to do. Basically, I'll tell you the details of that. NBA starting back up, and they'll be staying at Disney World Orlando, if I'm not mistaken. And supposedly they're required to wear some like super high tech ring that's supposed to monitor symptoms of COVID-19, like if they get it or whatever, right? And I guess it's gonna. How many? Do you guys know how many teams it is? Like 20 teams or something?
22 teams were invited.
Okay. And it's supposed to be teams like, that were a couple like wrapping up like.
Yeah, teams that were good enough to like where the season once where it stopped, teams that were good enough to like make a playoff push. Pretty much, it was 13 from the Western Conference and 9 from the Eastern Conference.
Okay. Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. I know some people are kind of like anti letting the sports return because they feel like, with the momentum we've gotten, as far as like, rights and, police brutality and all this other stuff, that they feel like it's just going to be a distraction and they shouldn't push forward with it. And I'm kind of more curious to see what's going to happen. Some people take their, like, they feel like we have to entertain the people, kind of get their mind off like all the negativity that's been going on. And, I can understand that for sure. I also feel like a lot of them are also more outspoken than others, like such as LeBron James or other people. And I feel like they will take the opportunity to use their platform, as they will. And I think, only time will tell when it actually occurs if we'll see, them saying something. I had an example before that I told some people that like, it'd be like, oh, like today you had 8 assists, LeBron. And he'll be like, yeah, that's crazy. Breonna Taylor was shot 8 times. But the officers that killed her still unarrested yet. Next question, So I want to see if something like that will happen. If they're going to speak on anything, I know they might want to help us ease our mind off all the negative stuff. But it would be cool to see them utilize our platforms, kind of like Colin Kaepernick did, especially considering he's on a job for 4 years. He was talking about this for a long time already, and and he still doesn't have a job. It'd kind of be cool to see sports players from all over, different spectrums, basketball, football, that's going to start up soon, obviously. It'd be cool to see all of them kind of come together and use their platforms just like he did, and talk. And then I guess Bubba Wallace, I don't know if you guys heard about that. I'm sure you guys heard about that. I don't know what am I talking about. So let's get everybody's take on this first before we kind of dive into it. Because I know you. Yeah, go ahead, Joey. Go ahead.
I did my research on this, so let me give some backstory. So Bubba Wallace is, I believe, right now the only African American active NASCAR driver, African American,
top level, right? In the top level.
Right. I mean, he hasn't won a major race in a while. He won a truck race, I think, back in like 2017. But he's always been in the hunt. He's a well-known name in the NASCAR community. Ever since the outrage and the outbreak of this virus and all the racial injustices that have kind of been, we've been finally shining some light on that in our country. Not saying that we haven't, but the light's much brighter now than it has been, in recent memory. So he came out and made a statement. He came out with the Black Lives Matter car. Most of his, I would say all of them. I didn't really see anybody who was opposed, but all of his colleagues with NASCAR were like supporting it. And hey, we're just here to race. We don't care what your race is. We just here to race. Stuff like that. It was great. And literally the first race was at Talladega in Alabama. One of his crew guys, who is also an African American, stumbled on this noose hanging from a garage door. Now, we didn't know it was hanging on a garage door when the noose first broke. All we saw was a noose was found in their garage. So that brought a lot of attention, as it should, because it's just the timing is weird. The historical use for the noose knot is just it was kind of a weird situation. It was too coincidental. It made headlines, and after further investigation, the FBI found out that noose hanging from the garage door had been there since last fall. But after doing some more research, Bubba Wallace said, and he confirmed that his guy that found the knot did his research day one and looked through some of the other garages and couldn't find any other rope that looked similar. So that was very alarming to me. But because they said it had been there since last fall, there's something else that kind of made me feel a certain way. There's groundskeepers. There's people that work there throughout the year. It's no mistake that garage was probably assigned to Bubba Wallace and his crew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether that noose shaped knot was there for long or not, it would have been a complete and total ignorant pretty much coincidence for nobody to have noticed that style of knot and for the only black racer in NASCAR to be assigned to that garage. That's something that they haven't talked about, and now it's kind of irritating me because when the news first broke that there was a noose hanging from the garage door, we were in our chat and I was letting you guys know that I've worked in garages, not necessarily car, but garage style, like home bases. I worked at a golf course and we had big garage doors. So I'm like, it's nothing new for a rope to have a use, but for it to be in the shape of a noose, which is a historically, kind of a demeaning symbol, it was an eyebrow raiser. And now seeing that there wasn't one in any other garage and it happened to be Bubba's, even though they're saying that it had been there since the fall, it's just a bigger question mark. And I'm not sure how I feel about it anymore. I just want to, hopefully you guys didn't get upset when I try to explain, like, for a garage, it's not a coincidence. For a garage, it may be a normality, but because no other garage door had it, now it's kind of making me feel like,
there's a lot of
bullshit,
coincidental things going on with it to make it seem like this wasn't intentional on some point. Like there's too many factors involved for it to not
it's
be
too
intentional. Yeah,
it's too awkward to ignore.
And I was saying,
Daniel?
I was saying in the chat that if you look at the amount of bridges that are in that knot, that's not a normal. I'm just going to pull the garage amount of bridges on it. That's the same amount of bridges they would use to hang someone, to lynch someone back in the day, and it's considered a heinous crime to have more than, I believe the number is 7, to have more than 7 bridges in one of those knots. And there's clearly more than that in that knot. So that's when, as soon as I saw that, I was like, there's no way that's a random act. Somebody had to sit there and actually make that many bridges in the knot and hang it.
And you know what? Now that we're sitting here talking about it, something else popped up in my head. They sell garage door pullers that are like, NASCAR isn't a broke sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would think these are professional. It's a professional sport. They have money. Garage door pullers and garage door openers wouldn't allow you to, like, oh yeah, let's just fashion this rope. No, they have strong rope with handles on them that would assist you. Why would by chance you would have to make this rope shaped into a noose and then it happened to be, but now it's foul play, bro. It feels like really foul play, and I'm proud of Bubba Wallace how he addressed it, especially his interviews on ESPN after they said the FBI found it to be coincidental. After the Bubba, you could see it in Bubba's eyes. He was like, I'm being professional about it. I'm letting it go. I'm turning the other cheek. I'm being a better man from it. But he was like, but that's a story some people might say, so who knows? So that to me was him saying they on some bullshit and we gonna find out,
That the sanity part too is that a lot of people were calling him like Jussie Smollett and all that stuff, and which is like definitely a bad look, just considering what that person did, So I was glad to find out that it wasn't actually him that found it, that it was somebody, like he said, in his crew. That was a good thing, and I thought it was good that regardless of if it was just coincidentally there and was just for the garage door, that it was good to see the other racers kind of rally around him and kind of show support,
right?
Because that was a weird thing that I thought was strange too, is that all these racers, all these people, and nobody just thought, oh man, this is what that is, that's. It just seemed odd to me that people with that amount of experience to that level, nobody would know that this is just for the garage door or something, versus like, the FBI and everything having to get involved and then figuring it out. It just seems like NASCAR could have just took care of that if anything.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not there to really like look into everything myself. All I can do is sit behind my computer and do research on Google, so we may never know. Maybe someday it'll get exposed. Like, oh yeah, somebody so and so did it on purpose or whatever, and it was a cover up or something. But I don't know.
It just seemed like too perfect of a place to have a rope hanging for it to be an excuse. Because when the news first broke, they said, "Oh, a noose was found." I was like, "Oh shit!" Like there was just a rope in the shape of a noose sitting on somebody's workbench. You know what I mean? Like like just as a symbol.
Yeah.
But then when they said it was on a garage door, my mind switched into logic. And I wasn't trying to dismiss anything, racially charged, but I did have to think of all the options. But, like I said, researching further, seeing that there wasn't one in any other garage. Come on, bro. That's who assigned Bubba to go to that garage specifically. Like you said, we may never know, and it might not be worth the headache simply because Bubba was received with open arms by his peers. And maybe that's more the importance moving forward than the actual action that didn't affect anybody physically.
Yeah, but I think it's also pretty, like, it's a good thing. It's a good sign to see that, like, NASCAR, I know that NASCAR is a majority dominated white sport, is that you see all these people rallying behind Bubba. It's good to see that all these people have his back and are able to push forward and look through this injustice and say, no, this isn't right. Because that's the one. I think this is the one sport that I think a lot of people don't expect this sort of thing to happen.
That's true. Let's not forget, Bubba's not the only black person in NASCAR. I believe there is a black woman owner for a NASCAR team, and I also believe Randy Moss from the NFL was actually part owner in a racing team as well. So it's not like black people are totally unheard of in this sport. I know they're a lot less seen as for other sports, but for NASCAR, I think it's a big step because it did kind of originate like in the South. Kind of a Southern thing, Yeah. So we'll make progress and we'll make strides in regards to that. But
speaking of Randy Moss, real quick, did his son get drafted?
Yes.
Tight end, right?
I forget what team drafted, but he definitely got drafted. He went to LSU, I think, and then he got drafted.
Okay, I was just totally curious because they won the championship, right? And I was like, wondering if he got
Thaddeus Moss.
Thaddeus, wow.
I mean, come on. When you're Randy Moss and you probably got the best hands of all time, you can name your son anything. It doesn't. Yeah. That's your seed.
Yeah.
Well, Randy Moss is kind of like Kobe. Whenever someone got burnt and they got caught over, you said
legend has it. Randy Moss's baby mama put Thaddeus inside one of those football machines with the two tires and sent Randy out wide. shot him out. And Randy went up with one hand and mossed everybody, and he came down. Thaddeus.
Could have just named him Handy. Anyway.
But there's
wow.
Yeah.
Randy and Handy.
Wow.
Oh man, that's funny.
Randy. That's hilarious. That's funny.
The last thing, the news that I heard about in sports this week, at least, I don't know if you guys heard that Juju Smith went to prom with some kid who I guess. Go ahead.
The handyman can. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh my god.
You heard Juju Smith-Schuster went to prom
with some kid. I guess allegedly the kid's close friend asked the girl that he wanted to go to prom with to prom, so he didn't have anybody else that he wanted to go with. So I guess he just kind of shot his shot at Juju, and he was like, "Yeah." And I guess allegedly he had bought them both $10,000 suits. So this kid's in prom pictures with Juju Smith as his date. He's not posing like that's his girl or nothing, but they like went in matching suits, and he was all in all their pictures or whatever. It was kind of like a nice heartwarming gesture,
There's other news in sports too. The MLB finally came to an agreement for the season. The season will begin on July 23rd and is scheduled to end on September 27th. So the postseason is still going to start right before October, September 29th.
Isn't it supposed to be like a 60-game season?
60-game season. The initial proposal was for like 40-something games, and the MLBPA, the Players Association, was like 40-something games. Like, how we getting paid? They're like, oh, it's a base salary based off those games. They're like, hell no. So they were like, we got to have 80 games. Yeah. So they met in the middle. 60 games is what you're getting, and the World Series will be set to begin on October 20th. So a little bit of season is better than none, but I'm actually excited for this season because normally a baseball season is 162 games. You're losing 102 games this season.
Yeah.
That is a dramatic amount. And that means a lot because normally guys know how to condition their bodies to where they're lasting these months and months and months through the postseason. So a lot of starting pitchers who are really good don't really start catching their groove until late in the season. Now that the season is only 60 games and you have to, kind of confirm your playoff spot, guys are going to be playing much harder. The roster, guys are going to be pulling up guys from like their lower level rosters much sooner. It's going to be exciting to me. And I don't know how it's going to look without fans in the stadiums, but baseball is back and I couldn't be happier, man. I love baseball.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. You haven't talked in a while. Go ahead.
I said I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see how the gamesmanship is going to be, especially when the Astros come up, because I've been waiting all year for them to get beamed by all these pitchers, 90-plus fastballs. So I'm really excited to see that.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see them hold the record for most hits by pitch in a 60-game season. They're going to break the record in 60 games.
Wow.
But outside of that, too, it's just going to be I feel like you're going to see a really good batting titles right here. Can somebody hit 40 home runs in 60 games?
Who knows, man? I, honestly, from from my baseball watching experience, I have no idea what's going to happen, because normally with the full season, pitchers are the ones who excel early in the year, because batters, it takes them a few weeks. Like, oh, I've seen this guy a few times now. Now I know how to approach this at bat. Now I've seen his junk. Now I've seen this. Pitchers can kind of catch batters off guard early in the season. But now that the seasons, you know what I'm saying? Like, how aggressive are guys going to be? Are people going to be bunting more? Are coaches going to be quick to pull the plug because every win means that much more? Because if you're playing a third of your games, that means your games mean 66% more than what they would have before. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's intense, bro. Like, I have no idea what to expect. And we might see some teams that were totally out of playoff contention in the recent years make the playoffs this year. And like they said, I think last year, only one team after 60 games would have been playoff eligible. So that's a huge stat. It means a lot. These teams have been conditioned to winning in the second half. Now that there ain't one, let's see.
Padres to the playoffs? What?
I dead ass bro. I talk about it. Talk about it, man. I am from San Diego. I am a Padres fan. I grew up liking the Chargers, and I'm a Clippers fan. Now, I'm a Jaguars football fan, now in recent years since Fred Taylor started playing. But think about it. This year, San Diego State, the best record in college basketball. Corona. Padres, best roster they've had since 98. Corona. Clippers, number 2 in the Western Conference. Corona. Like, I can't win, bro. I can't win. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just really how it feels. I'm upset.
And you had a chance to take me out in fantasy basketball.
Oh, talk about it.
Corona.
Talk about it. Me and Daniel were the clear out favorites in our fantasy basketball league, and we actually were in the playoff round way too soon. I wish me and Daniel could have met in the final round. But me and him were going neck to neck, and he was literally beating me by 2 points. Boom, Corona. And all of a sudden ESPN or Yahoo or whoever sport we were using, whoever platform we were using, was like, oh, we're just gonna let Daniel win because he's up by 2 points. What? Oh, okay. Okay. I'm catching L's all year, bro.
It's Corona.
Oh man. I guess I kind of wrapped up the sports news. Moving on to music news. Quite a bit happened actually. I know some albums released. I totally kind of slept on them though. I only listened to one album that got released this week, and it was by IDK. He released a project called IDK and Friends 2, which is actually a part of, I guess, Kevin Durant released like a basketball documentary or something called like Basketball County or something like that. It's pretty much the soundtrack to that, and it's a lot of different rappers. Lesser known rappers and a couple of more known rappers, like I believe Wale is on one of the tracks, Rico Nasty's on one of the tracks, and many more. It's all right, it's I prefer the first version of this project personally. It's not like his regular projects. He like kind of put out like a PSA saying like, this is not like my regular cohesive projects. It's not purely from my mind. I just pretty much help produce everything. I'm pretty much on every track, and then that's about it. Versus like, this is my project, this is my baby. I'm taking care of it. I'm making it into this is the idea that I have for it, or whatever. You know, he had to kind of curate it for KD's like stuff or whatever. But it's all right, you know. It's not one of my, like I said, not one of my favorite projects ever, but it's cool. I know a couple more projects dropped, but I'm kind of dropping the ball on that right now. We can go on to the actual news that happened in the music world. First and foremost, Swiss Beats and Drake got beef or what?
Man, the lights skinned need to leave each other alone.
I'm gonna just keep it real. Swiss Beats don't gotta say nothing to win that battle. He's married to Alicia Keys. Okay, that's forever. That's forever a W. Can we just agree to that?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? But
so,
yeah, that's random. Who started that?
Allegedly. So allegedly, there's beef from back in the day, back when it's one of my favorite songs. I can't remember. I can't remember the song. The song that with Drake featuring Swiss Beats and T.I.
Fancy.
Yeah, Fancy. There you go.
Yeah.
Apparently, Swiss Beats had felt a kind of way because there was supposed to be a video for that song, and it never came out. I would have more than welcomed the video for that song. I don't know why that didn't come out.
That's a slapper.
And then. For real, that's still one of my favorite songs to this day. When it comes on, hit that last little verse, like, hey, you know. Anyway, Swizz Beatz was talking to Busta Rhymes, and Busta Rhymes was kind of trying to be cool about the whole thing. And kind of like, it seemed like he was trying to calm down Swizz Beatz to a degree. And then, you know, Swizz Beatz just kind of hits him with the niggas pussy anyway or whatever, right? Because I guess it was in reference to a song that was supposed to be released by Drake featuring Busta Rhymes, and it was a Dilla beat. And I don't know why Swizz Beatz was so upset about that or whatever. A track recently leaked, and it's old. It's like old style Jake, like from like Take Care, or not Take Care, but nothing. God,
Thank Me Later.
There you go. God, the old one. Yeah, Thank Me Later, Comeback Season, all that stuff. It sounds like that Drake. It don't sound like newer Drake, and it was really good. Busta Rhymes' little feature on there was dope too. The beat was fire as hell. I don't know why it wasn't a regular song like that, like release, like I Made Money or whatever. And I guess in response, Chubbs, you know, who's like pretty much Drake's muscle, his right hand man, he told him like, it's clear you don't like us. Just have that same energy when you see us, pussy. Somebody else that's an associate with Drake said something similar to that too. And then Swizz Beatz decided to go, you know, on social media and apologize about the whole thing, saying he wasn't in the right space, and you know he doesn't mean that and all that stuff, and now's not the time for all that.
Because Alicia got him by the nuts. That's why I would have been yes, ma'am. I will apologize right now.
He said,
yes, ma'am.
You don't stop with this light skin nonsense right now.
Yo, no, real talk.
Yeah, but that's just a mess. I don't know why. That's ridiculous. Another little beef that happened over the weekend. I guess it kind of, you know, calmed down really quickly, but a leaked alternate version of the song "Bang" that features Eminem. It pretty much had Eminem dropping a diss to Revolt TV. Joe Budden was tossed in there too, and Revolt proceeded to respond to Eminem by saying, "Fuck you too, Eminem," and the verse is something like, he shouts out P. Diddy, then he says like something about Revolt, and then it says, "No wonder the button's broken," or the button's broke or something.
It was bars.
Saying that like Joe Budden's broke or whatever. It was bars. Like, you know, Eminem got bars. He's when he drops disses, they're nothing to sleep on for sure. But you know, he said that, you know, he didn't mean for that to get leaked out. He said he was in a different headspace when it happened. He was upset about some things, but then before the track even came out, obviously he had submitted another verse, and that wasn't a part of the original thing. I was actually kind of surprised that somebody leaked that, because if it wasn't from Eminem, I doubt it was from Eminem personally. It had to have been from, I believe it was Conway's song. So somebody from his camp had to have leaked the song, which I thought was kind of weird or whatever. I mean, this thing's happened though. And I guess Joe Budden kind of just took it on the chin. He didn't really mind it. I guess he says behind the scenes, they're kind of working on like repairing things, like him, Slaughterhouse, and, you know, I guess I'm assuming Eminem too, considering he owns all their stuff or whatever. So that's
because let's not forget, last week when Eminem dropped those tweets about who his greatest rappers were, he threw in two of his Slaughterhouse homies and left out Joe Budden. So I'm not going to forget that. You know what I'm saying? So my guess is Joe Budden might have said something after he left him off, and one of Eminem's homies was like, "All right, bet, peep this, homie, peep this, revolt this." You know what I'm saying? Like just a reminder to be like, look, don't mess with Eminem because he always keep one in the chamber, and we just had to let one pop off in the air real quick. You know what I'm saying? Almost just like, hey, watch yourself.
It's always interesting to kind of see like all these groups that like kind of like fell apart or whatever, and the places that they're in right now, like King Crooked and Joel Ortiz and those guys, like the careers that they've kind of established, like solo, not necessarily just in music, but obviously a lot of them are revered, you know, MCs, artists, you know, rappers. King Crooked and Joe Budden both do interviews, you know, and people kind of, they're well respected in that genre. Joe Budden has a pretty much thriving podcast, and, you know, of course, Eminem is quote unquote the rap god. So, you know, it's nice that people that have like kind of worked in that spectrum, like even like, you know, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, and all those guys, you know, like people like it's all been in an interesting sense, like it's all always fallen apart to a degree, but people have pretty much found a way for success, except for like Young Buck, I guess that's about it. And I guess the game technically, since some lady's getting his royalties, but you know, that's an old story anyway, so it's not that important.
Because ultimately talent shines. It don't matter what beef you're going through. When you actually skilled, it's gonna travel. Talent travels. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, only if you nuck, if you buck. It's the only way that you would know.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh man, that's crazy. Hey, actually, I see one on the docket we got to get into, bro, because I haven't seen it yet. The Ja Rule commercial. Somebody explanatize that to me.
So I just randomly saw this on Facebook, and basically Ja Rule's doing a commercial for like a Mediterranean restaurant, I guess. And he was like legitimately like, so you remember Friday After Next when they had that commercial? Come on down to Bill's Barbecue, you know, tastes so good make you want to slap your mama. It was that kind of commercial, bro. It was that kind of commercial.
I see it.
Basically, what happened was
Papa Christo's Greek deli.
Yeah, so
you want to slap your mama.
So he was like getting the names wrong on the food. He was like reading from you could see him reading from a piece of paper in the commercial. It was a mess, but at the same time he looked like he was enjoying himself. It's like one of those things where it's like it's funny, but it's not like I'm laughing at you because you're a loser funny. You know, it was a good time. It seemed like, you know, it's hilarious. It almost seems genuine. Like he was like, this is gonna work. You know, like it doesn't seem like he's playing himself or anything like that. I don't know what it is. There's just a different energy versus like you kind of being destitute and like trying really hard. Like for example, you remember in the I forget what game he was doing a halftime show for, and he was like, "You ready?" And he stuck his hand out, and nobody said nothing. Like that moment was really sad.
Rock bottom.
Yeah, pretty much. This moment, it doesn't seem like that. It seems the energy seems positive. It's funny. It's like I'm sure the restaurant's going to get a ton of attention. Supposedly, I don't know if this is true. I heard he's supposed to be doing some show where he's like trying to use his celebrity to help out like a little bit like businesses or whatever. I don't know how true that is. I'm probably going to look into that some more because that's intriguing considering it's Ja Rule. And the last thing I know that Ja Rule did was do that Fire Festival stuff, which was obviously landed him in hot water. But, you know, he got away from that, which is great. Good for him, you know. But it was just, you know, like he's been attached to some messy stuff. But I mean, he's still out here, you know.
Two things here that come to my mind is one, is he tired of getting drugged through the mud by 50 Cent about his money? You know what I'm saying?
Man.
And two, like maybe Ja Rule finally found his lane. Maybe commercials is his thing. Maybe he's the next like Willie Mays. Hey, Willie Mays here with another product, just reading it out his cell phone. He was dead ass reading his lines out his cell phone. Mispronouncing all the meats and stuff, acting like it tastes good, but it really was entertaining, and it's something that I wouldn't mind watching again for other products or other restaurants. It's kind of funny. You're right. His energy about it was really good, and it's almost pleasing. It's like, okay, I mean, from music to commercials, I'm with it, bro. Like if he's the next guy that got to try to get me to sign up through a new credit card or something, so be it. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, YouTube should definitely pick him up. So like you're watching some random video on YouTube, mainly this podcast, and just right in the middle, he just pops in, "Hey, Buy some gyros, somebody.
Man, once we're done here, I'm gonna watch that commercial again because that shit was funny for real, for real.
And it starts off with something that's gonna make you want to slap your mama. Like it starts off like that. What they should have did was make it something about Ja Rule too. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you hungry? What would I be without food? What would I be without? You know what I'm saying? Baby girl, you know I'm hungry.
Oh my god!
So baby girl, put it on me. Yeah.
Remix God.
Remix God, bro. I'm coming hard.
Come the copyright strike.
You know what I'm saying? Damn, we gotta have to bleep that out. I can't afford those royalties, bro.
Oh man. In other news, Justin Bieber, you know, the boy wonder, he was hit with the sexual assault claim back in 2014. I guess is allegedly when this happens, and the internet kind of went in an uproar. But he pulled the receipts and he was like, not me, not I, not the Biebs.
I'm so happy for Bieber, man. And it's crazy because didn't just like the allegations came out last week. But if you guys remember 2 weeks ago when all these people's like conspiracies and, you know, the whole Black Lives Matter movement and all this government wishy-washy stuff came out, people were saying, well, Justin Bieber made this song called Yummy that was kind of a flop for us music heads. But he was like, if you listen to the lyrics, people are trying to associate it with Bieber talking about the BS that's going on in Hollywood. And after that happened, and I guess people were shedding light, like, yeah, Bieber's like on the good side of entertainment, trying to let you guys know like this weird shit going on. And all of a sudden, the next week,
I did not know that.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Look up a Yummy conspiracy, like about that song and how it's about people. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And then all of a sudden, a week later, somebody comes out the woodwork saying, oh yeah, Justin touched me on this day and on that day. And just like that, boom, Bieber had receipts. He was dating Selena Gomez. He was at a hotel with his homies, left early. Like, what you got? And now he's countersuing for $20 million. And I couldn't be happier.
Ooh. We should have known. Anybody should have definitely known it was a lie as soon as he said I was dating Selena Gomez. I ain't got to see nobody else.
I'm getting Selena Gomez top, and you mean to tell me I need to go take this from some whatever chick at some concert? Get out of my face, bro. I'm sorry. Nope. You
missed me with that.
You missed me with that one. You got it damn right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was interesting to see that because, well, first and foremost, obviously, it happens a lot. It's almost kind of like normalcy in the entertainment industry nowadays, whether you're an actor, musician, sports players, even to kind of get hit with a sexual assault accusation. Not that all of them, some of them obviously are true, and me personally, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure you guys agree. If something happened to you, we encourage you to speak up. Ridicule is something that even if you're nervous about it, if you can get your word out there, it's important. People are going to support you. This is one of those situations where he happened to be it was a false accusation, seemingly, obviously, and he had receipts and he had things to say in order to back up his claims of why this was impossible that he had supposedly done this, which is good for him. A lot of guys can't do that. They're just like, oh, they were out there one night and they can just say, oh, like, yeah, I remember that girl. Well, you already messed up right there. So
yeah, this is also
at the same time too.
I was going to say also as a. Oh no, go ahead. Also as a PSA because of people that like you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, imagine if he didn't have any of these receipts, the court of public opinion would have crucified him. No pun intended. They would have, destroyed him, and he would have had no way to back himself up. He would have been dropped from all of his stuff that he's got going on business wise and all that. And then just as a side PSA for anybody who's out here dating during a pandemic, you're brave. First of all, you're brave. But second of all, if you're planning on some extracurricular activities after the date, she cannot at any point in time have a beer or a drink.
Yes.
Because because she can wake up in the morning and say, as soon as the drink touches her lips, she can say she was inebriated and stuff like that. So
let's make that a movement moving forward with guys. Initiation one, first moment of physical interaction, sober.
Yep.
Sober. I don't want no type of issues with, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't mean this. I didn't know. Sorry. And we know as men on this show, and not to speak to any women, as men on this show, we have to do our best to cover ourselves, even if our intentions are honest and solid.
Yeah.
We still have to go the extra mile, go above and beyond to make sure that we cover ourselves, because even good guys get caught in some bad situations sometimes. And I'm not saying all guys who get caught aren't bad, because you know what I'm saying, there's obviously, I'm not going to get into the hairy situations, but we do have to maybe create better standards as men moving forward, just to kind of make sure that we don't get trapped in these situations. You know,
There's literally a consent app, that you can use nowadays. Obviously, like you hit the nail on the head with the as soon as anything touches her lips. We're kind of pounded with that in the military. Like, don't you can't get consent once you have alcohol. So miss with you're gonna miss with that if you try to go tell the jailer, oh no, but she only had one beer, she had alcohol. Okay, well you're out of here, pal.
Right. So if you're gonna go out for drinks. If you're gonna go out for drinks, fuck first. That's all we saying.
Before we go out, you might hit the sheets first. I like to get that out of the way before we start getting drunk.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, but similarly this week too. I don't know if you guys know the YouTube comedian Long Beach Griffey. He had a instance go down where people pretty much try to cancel him, and he's one of those guys that kind of doesn't give a damn what people think or say about him. He kind of just he will say anything about anything. He does not care ever. I don't think I know a comedian who kind of keeps it more real than him, aside from maybe Dave Chappelle. Right. Maybe he's obviously at a lower level, but that's the only person I can think of on that spectrum that's Dave Chappelle would say what he wants to say and get away with it. Same thing for Long Beach Griffey, but obviously every week people try to cancel him and people show their support of him. Recently he had a sketch about he has a couple sketches where people say that he's victim shaming and things like that. As far as for sexual assault or whatever. And he, some guy came after him, I guess, and he started responding to him, and the guy kind of calls him a rapist and stuff, and things like that, and how do you support rapists? And he released a little video saying that he can't, or I think he said this on live and somebody recorded it, and he was saying that it is important to also shed light on the guys that are accused of sexual assault, but then they're innocent or whatever, because they're everything it's taken away. And then people have pointed out that out of the large grouping of men that are hit with sexual harassment or sexual assault, there's the majority of them get away with it. A handful go to jail, and a handful, less than a handful, are innocent of the whole entire matter or whatever. And he's like that's fine, but you're trivializing the smaller number. It still happens. It shouldn't happen. Is the case. You know what I mean? It's a serious thing, and if you're going to do that to somebody, it should be for a real reason versus just, I didn't like that he dissed me or something, or I didn't like that he didn't want to be my boyfriend afterwards or something like that. It shouldn't be just in spite of, because it happens. I mean, there was a couple years ago, there was some football players, I believe, I don't know if it was one or two or something like that. They were accused of sexual assault by some white woman, and their scholarships were taken away, and potentially their chances at going to the NFL, and that those are, so it's very serious allegations. Obviously, on the opposite side too, rape victims should be treated with care. They should be taken very seriously, which is why the false accusations hurt it so much. It's some people, not us for sure, but some people will take one false accusation claim and run with it for every single time somebody brings up, an accusation saying somebody raped me. They'll trivialize or take away from the whole Me Too movement by saying, oh, what about this girl? She lied about it or whatever, And it's it happens, yes, but it's we got to still treat these victims with respect and make make sure that they're taken care of and that the system works for them. Because a lot of times it's so messed up that just the justice system in general, just because it's hit and miss. It's like rich, powerful dudes can get away with so much. You're gonna slap on a wrist for touching all these women and messing with all these women, and somebody poor can just be accused by somebody falsely and then go to jail for years. And it's just fucked up that like we don't really have like a truthful system. It's just like who has the most money, who has a better reputation. That's what it comes down to, I feel like, and that's like the really shit.
So there is a way that you can differentiate between something that might have actually happened and a false claim. And I brought this up with the Antonio Brown situation, is where did she file the claim at? If it actually happened, more than likely she's going straight to the police. She's seeking, jail time, et cetera, et cetera. Excuse me. But when you look at what this woman did that falsely accused Justin Bieber, she didn't go to the police. She didn't go anywhere. She went straight to social media with it instead of going to the police.
You have to understand. To understand that the rules of better late than never don't always work in your favor. You know what I'm saying? If something serious happens, you got to bring it to attention pretty quick. And to be honest, I'm actually surprised Justin Bieber still had receipts from over, what was it, 2 years ago or something? He's very lucky and very blessed.
It was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Shout out to his accountant.
For real.
You're getting a raise.
Don't worry.
And also,
he said, "Don't worry, Jay, I got you."
In regards to comedy, though, because we had been having group chats about comedians, and like you have to remember, comedians' first title to them probably isn't comedian. It takes a creative mind to be a comedian. So like, even if something is bad to the world, your ability to manipulate that story into something that you would deem funny for the masses, that's the talent. But you have to understand that with freedom of speech comes freedom of reaction. And that is where comedians have a problem understanding. They know that their freedom of speech allows them to say what they want and that they may not be received, but you can't justify. I mean, it's hard to not justify somebody else's response to what you're saying, because it's not emotionally charged when you give it, but sometimes it's emotionally charged when they receive it. So you do have to kind of read, like you said, read your audience. Mm-hmm. That's what we talked about, and you just have to be a master of reading your surroundings. So Absolutely. That, I guess, that guy is a lower level comedian simply because he doesn't have that "let me read the room" type of thing. Like you said, Dave Chappelle says a lot of informative and a lot of strong content, but he's really good at reading his audience and knows how to tell a story and build up to what he's saying. This other guy might just be like, boom, 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 boom. And people are like, oh, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's because Long Beach Griffey is just skits, and it's a topic that's probably going to get a lot of people triggered. That's typically what his content is based off of. So he has like videos about where he's like pretends to be a mass shooter. He has things about rape, like false rape accusations. Like one where it's literally a guy and he's playing a guy and a girl, and the girl the guy says something to him, and she was like rape, and he was like, wait a minute, I just said hello, and it's like rape, like you're don't mansplain and all this stuff, and it's just like he be going after people, like he be going after sensitive topics, and it's like he just doesn't care. But obviously he responded to a couple of people who talked about him or whatever. Some people want to say he's a clown and all that stuff. I think Long Beach Griffey's funny as fuck personally. I don't take nothing he says seriously. And he even had one recently about cancel culture.
Also, as fans of comedy, or individually, all of us whoever we find funny, sometimes we vibe more with the people that we like as people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know there's people who say controversial things, but when you kind of done your research, or you kind of get this vibe from this person, like, I know this person doesn't have hateful energy, so even when they say some risque things, I take it as comedy, because it's like, me myself, I'm not racist, but I'm going to talk shit about every race of people. I'm going to roast everybody because I equally respect and equally will talk shit about everybody.
Equal opportunity roaster.
But exactly. But like you said, reading the room. If I know I'm around people that know me and in my circle, and I'm talking smack, you guys ain't gonna come, oh, watch the racism, bro. Oh, my what? Oh, you said this about, nah. But if I'm around people who don't know me and I'm saying some risky stuff, but they don't know my energy, they don't know like, oh yeah, Joey's cool with all, you know, Joey got white friends, got black friends, you know, Asians, this, you know, they don't know that. So like you just have to be good at projecting yourself. And something interesting Daniel said on our group chat was, I wish we had like a way of telling somebody's like what did you call it, Daniel? Like their spirituality or like their like morality meter or something. Like almost like a rating floating above your head, like how good of a person are you?
You just gotta read people's stats before you talk to them, man. Like a video game.
That's the thing. DJ with the analytics, bro. Let me look this guy up real quick.
But I had a supervisor when I was out there living in the woods for a couple years. He was like, he was saying some stuff, and I'm like, "Are you a racist?" And he's just like, "No, I'm not a racist. I hate everyone equally." And
and that's somebody you have to respect, bro. You know what I'm saying? You gotta respect that.
Yeah, and then he backed it up. He's like, think about it, man. I can't be racist. I own a color TV. It just.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's golden. That's nice.
Yeah, so that immediately made me respect him more, and I was like, okay, he's just making jokes there. He ain't what I think he is.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows though? People are good at hiding stuff, but that's a good one. That's a good one.
For sure. I think that's about all we got here. So, real quick, we haven't done it in a while, so if you guys don't want to, you guys don't have to. But something you're messing with, you know, some kind of personal little recommendation for other people. For me myself, I've been playing Smite, and it's the best game ever for right now. One thing I have realized about myself, though, especially when it comes to Smite, and I think this is a MOBA problem because I take it more seriously, more competitively, because it is like a solid teamwork thing. If one guy doesn't know what he's doing, it ruins the game for everybody else. I'm an asshole when I play Smite. That's just the truth. I am an asshole when I play Smite. I don't like Call of Duty. It's not such a big deal. Like I yell a little bit, I cuss or whatever. But Smite is a whole nother. You don't want to mess with Taylor B. Like I'm a monster in that game. I think I hurt somebody's feelings today, our buddy Manny. But it's just the nature of the beast for that game. You know, like I said, it's like Call of Duty. It's just shooting. You know, it's like the team cohesion is kind of important. But in a MOBA, it's like if one guy really doesn't know it, like don't play this game if you don't know what you're doing. You know, if you got no clues, you don't really know how things operate in a MOBA, just don't even bother. Don't even bother. Just not for you.
How you ever gonna get good if you don't even try? See, that's shit. That's why I would never download that game to play with you guys ever.
If you're gonna play,
go ahead, DJ.
If you're gonna play, learn the game first. Learn the mechanics. If you're gonna play, go out there and you're gonna play with the team. Like, because I mean, I could agree with Brandon in the certain sense that this game takes a lot of cohesion with your team. If you can't, you could be the best player in the world in that game, but it don't matter if you have if you have trash players on your side and the other team is working together. Because there's only so much you can do individually before you're suffering with the whole team.
Yes.
So definitely, if you're going to pick up that game, definitely any sort of MOBA. If you're going to pick up a MOBA, if that's your thing, practice. Go into play some bots. Do what you got to do to get familiar with that game first, and understand stuff like rotations and shit before you.
For the uncultured like me, what the hell is a MOBA?
Multiplayer online battle arena.
Okay, thank you. That'll work. I feel like that's some useful info for some people who don't know gaming like that. Some other examples are League of Legends. There was a game called Paragon. Dota. Yeah, there's a ton of different little examples that are pretty popular. Smite's been around since I believe 2014, so about 6 years now. League of Legends has been around for a long time. Paragon got shut down back in like 2018.
Yeah, MOBAs are the games that are getting the most amount of championship money, winnings, viewings in tournaments in esports right now, period. They're the biggest form of making money in esports.
So this is the majors, what you're saying. This is the ESPN level gaming right here.
Yeah. This was basically like one of the OG ways to earn money in this, and like, so it's like it's really a big community, huge community. Like League of Legends has consistently been one of the top like streamed games since back in the day when Twitch first
Now,
came
would
out.
you say the primary well, I don't want to say primary. Would you say most of these people that play these MOBA games play via PC, computer, like mouse and keyboard?
Yes. Well, the vast
Yes.
majority is, I would definitely.
Absolutely.
And I feel like maybe that's why I kind of never really played like shooters or battle royale type of games, because I know that for some reason I just feel like I'm totally outplayed with keyboard and mouse. You know, like there's just so many more controls that somebody can manipulate at once. So maybe it's a little discouraging, but you know, I don't know. I see you guys on there all the time, and it interests me. But then I took a look and I Googled it. And I was like, yeah, there's something I'm gonna just stay the fuck away from. So, it looks so complicated, bro.
I'll tell you this though, nothing feels better than hopping on any sort of game that's crossplay and beating that guy that has a mouse and keyboard. Like you could always tell on like Warzone or in Call of Duty, it'll let you know, hey, you're playing against like this guy. Like you'll see a little icon. Same thing with Smite. You can see who's playing on PlayStation and who's playing on PC, because it also is a cross-play game as far as PC to PlayStation goes. And it always gives you that better feeling of, man, these PC players really trash.
Oh, speaking of games too, I'll just sneak this in here real quick. We did finally see the official trailer for Madden 21 for the next Madden, and they're adding a lot more defensive controls, a lot more personalized controls to bring the game into, you know, more in depth, and I think it looks exciting. If people don't know, me, DJ, and Daniel are a part of a 6-man league right now that we kind of just drafted franchise together and playing, and we're toward our playoffs. But next year we all plan on getting 21 and adding like, I don't know, 4 or 5 more people.
Yeah, we might get upwards to 12, because there's you know how it is. A bunch of people get Madden when it first comes out. So I have a couple buddies that I know that are telling me, hey man, I see you're in that league. You gotta send that invite. So I know that
if we can get 16 and we can have like half the league, that would be great, because we can do 8 in the NFC, 8 in the AFC. It's exciting, man. I'm just the trailer dropped, and I'm just excited to see that they're finally adding more gameplay on the defensive side of the ball, you know, for different moves on the D line and stuff like that. So the game's finally coming together how I thought it would have been by now. Because like Daniel said, up until this next one coming out, Daniel did call Madden, I'm not getting the roster update. See what I'm saying? The only difference was the players were different. And now that we see that the gameplay is finally evolving, it's something that we can look forward to.
Man, if we can have 16 people, we can have 2 in each division, so we can basically own the playoffs. The playoffs could be made by all 16.
That's
players.
true.
That draft is going to be so long.
Oh yeah, we're talking about a 4.5 hour draft.
Yeah.
Our last one took 2 hours.
But see, man, we can come to an agreement and say, this is the day, these are the hours, boom, boom, boom. You know, so
that's hard. The draft is always the
That's all I got for gaming. That's all the news we've come up with.
Did anybody else have something they're messing with? If not, I can just get us out of here.
Oh, I was just going to talk about another movie. I'm a movie buff. On here on Amazon, there's this new movie called The Wave. I highly suggest everybody check it out. It's about, well, I don't want to give it away because it's going to screw with your mind. I'll give you that much right now.
Give it away.
No,
give it away.
no.
Give it away. Give it away now. Go ahead.
Well,
Watch it, man. Daniel hasn't disappointed, guys, by the way. I'm going to vouch for Daniel. The last 3 or 4 things that Daniel said, y'all should watch this. He's been on. So he's on a hot streak. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
The Wave?
Yeah, it's called The Wave. It's pretty legit, where the guy takes a drug and then he wakes up and it's been like 8 hours and he has to figure out what he did in those 8 hours and how it affects the future. Wow. And then but when he wakes up from the drug, he keeps going into the drug like never stops working. It's really crazy. It's like an inception of all these different moments in his life that would happen in the last 8 hours, all leading up to what happens at the end, bro.
That sounds like insanity. That's what that sounds like.
It is, bro. Like I got lost 3 times in the movie and I was just like, but I was hooked.
And you know what's scary about that is I've seen documentaries on people who take drugs or people who have, tell their story. And you know how like, and I don't want to define drugs, but I smoke marijuana. And for other people, you know, when we were growing up, like, oh, marijuana, you gotta be careful, blah, blah. And you realize, like, damn, bro, it's medicinal. It makes my body feel better. You know, I don't lose, you know, as many brain cells as people would think. I'm intelligent, you know. But there's other drugs that people, other drugs, quote unquote, drugs that people try and they never recover from it. Like, never.
Yep.
Like you could do heroin once, be stuck. You know what I'm saying? Like that is scary. That is scary. So imagine this is a drug just consuming your life, and you think you're trying to find out what you just did, but you're still doing it. You know, like who knows? That drugs are absolutely incredible in a scary way. You know, I'm gonna check the wave and check that out.
But I think I'll finish it off with sort of. I've kind of been messing the same thing with what Brandon's talking about. Obviously, I've been playing a lot of Smite with him and hearing the rage and the frustration that goes along with it. But one more thing that I want to throw in there that has to do with gaming. So I know that none of us really play Fortnite anymore, and I know that we talked about it a couple of weeks back, or not a couple weeks, a month or two back when they had the Travis Scott event. So they're continuing with their sort of. Yeah, they're continuing with their sort of events, and they have these concerts that they play. They now have a full space that's dedicated to. There's no guns, there's no fighting. There's it's basically like it's like a free space where you can race against people in the little buggies and carts that they have there. You can just traverse the land, and they have a giant movie screen. And on the opposite side, they have a little concert screen. And over this last couple of days, I think it was 2 days ago and yesterday, they had two small mini events that happened. And there was a concert that featured Noah Cyrus, Young Thug, Diplo, and I forgot the last person, but it had that sort of vibe, and it was pretty cool. You get to watch it live with a bunch of people. Something that I got to watch with my wife and kids. Obviously, my wife plays Fortnite, and my kids, my daughter and my middle child like it too. So we watched that little concert together. It was only like a 25-minute concert. And then they played yesterday, which is one of the reasons why I watched this movie. They're playing movies now. They started playing movies on the thing. So they have this big ass screen, and they were playing The Inception, which obviously came out in 2010. It was a huge movie at the time. And I had never seen it. To be 100% honest, I had never seen it. So my wife and I started watching it. My daughter watched it with her cousins online because they both play Fortnite together. So she watched it with her cousins who are in San Diego right now. And I thought that was pretty cool. She could spend time on the mic with her cousins while watching a movie that sometimes people haven't seen before. And it caused me and my wife to turn on Netflix because we were just getting bothered by too many people jumping in front of the screen and stuff. We watched The Inception for the first time.
Totally forgot about that idea. They need to make that an option. Like if you're watching the screen, they should have a button that says full screen mode or something.
Yeah. But I mean, it's definitely cool to see that Fortnite is continuing. They've always, at this point, have always been probably one of the best live event game in probably, and since I've been seeing about these sort of events, because they've had these abilities to just bring more than what the game has to offer. It doesn't necessarily have to be about building and shooting, and I think that's awesome. But that's kind of what I've been messing with.
It's kind of connecting like Fortnite is kind of connecting like Sims to real life. Like we're used to Sims being like the simulated life where it's like, oh, this is me for real. But you know, in game, where now it's like I'm really playing this game, but like I'm really watching this movie. So it's kind of the in between. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm really watching this movie. I'm really enjoying this concert with who knows who's on that game with.
Right.
You're watching this concert live with all these people, and it's a shared community event, and that's awesome.
All right, well, it seems like that is the end of this episode. So with that, Piglets, this has been another installment of Culture by the Uncultured. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Culture by the Uncultured. Remember, Piglets, Culture by the Uncultured is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. We hope everyone out there is staying safe. If you can't be safe, be deadly. Catch you guys next time.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, wash your hands.